Vampire Crawlers is basically what happens when the developers of Vampire Survivors decided to turn the auto-battler into a turn-based dungeon crawler with cards. In this game, instead of running around dodging enemies while your weapons fire automatically, you are now moving through actual dungeons with walls and rooms, playing cards to fight monsters. The game does keep that snowballing power fantasy feeling from the original game, but makes you think about it step by step instead. So this is the core idea. You have a deck of cards representing weapons and buffs, and you play them in order from lowest to highest mana cost. If you manage to keep the chain going by playing cards in ascending order, each one gets a combo multiplier that makes it hit way harder. So playing a 0 cost card, then a 1 cost card, and then a 2 cost gives you much better results than just throwing them out randomly. There are wild cards that let you continue combos even when you don't have the right costs, which can push things to ridiculous numbers if you set it up right. You pick a character, and each one has their own special ability. Antonio gives you armor when you play his card, while Pascalina increases your hand size when you play purple cards, which means more options each turn. The game starts you with basic weapons like knives and whips, plus some stat buffs like spinach that increases your damage temporarily. You draw a hand of cards each turn and play what you can afford with your mana. The dungeon part works like old grid-based crawlers. You move tile by tile through rooms, and enemies only attack when they're next to you. You find treasure chests, level up mid-fight when you get enough experience, and pick new cards or upgrades as rewards. This is where the deck bloat can become a real problem. Every time you level up, you're usually forced to add something to a deck, and not all of this is useful. So for example, you might want to focus on a specific combo, but keep getting armor cards or random weapons that you don't need, making it harder to draw the cards you actually want. The game does have a gem system. This lets you customize cards with bonuses, like double damage or extra armor. You find these gems in chests, and can slot them into cards that have open gem slots. Some cards can also evolve into stronger versions when you meet certain conditions. A magic wand can become a holy wand, for example, if you have the right setup, and this one deals way more damage across multiple enemies. The combat feels, looks and sounds genuinely good when you get a combo going, playing spinach to boost your damage, then a weapon card, then another buff, and watching all of this chain together with increasing multipliers is satisfying. The problem is when you get a bad hand and can't set up your combos. Since you can't choose to skip adding cards, your deck seemingly gets messier as fights go on. The character who increases hand size does help with this, since you see more cards per turn, but it doesn't solve the fundamental issue of having too much stuff you don't want. Between runs there's mana progression, where you spend coins on permanent upgrades. You can buy their typical things like extra armor, better luck for card rewards, or healing after encounters. These get more expensive each time you buy them, but they stack up across runs. The game also has different characters to unlock, and also gradually adds new locations. Something I like about this game is that it lets you play at whatever speed you want. You can think through each turn carefully, or just blast through them quickly once you know what you're doing. The animations are deliberately fast, and the feedback is super clear, so it doesn't feel slow, even though it is turn-based. So in my eyes, the devs mostly cooked here so far. They took the addictive scaling from Vampire Survivors and made it work in a completely different genre, without losing what made it fun. The combo system gives you that same feeling of getting stronger and stronger, but now you have to work for it. The issues so far are pretty clear and fixable too. The deck bloat is probably the biggest one. The difficulty also seems to spike when you hit enemies with high armor values, and if you haven't built your deck right, then you definitely will lose, without much you can do about it. But this is also part of the learning process. Also based on my experience, some evolutions require cards you might not have access to yet, and once you actually add these gems to cards, then you can't evolve them anymore, which is either a misunderstanding on my part, or it's a questionable design choice. It feels a bit restrictive. The visual style is somewhat basic but also very charming. In my opinion, it fits the Vampire Survivors aesthetic, but some people may find it too bare bones. And this sentence concludes today's video. If your time was respected, a like or comment is very much appreciated.